Okay, so I've got the dream team here. Kayla in a brand spanking new shirt that I absolutely love.
Thank you.
Please tell Pat I want one too.
Okay.
And I got Victor here, who every year, Victor, you've probably seen him before, he helps me move my stuff over to my friend John's greenhouse. And so we're doing that today. I talked about it earlier in the week because it's gotten cold.
Yes.
So we were saying that we were all trying to decide what to wear today, and the high said it was 74. So we thought, oh, it's going to keep getting warmer. But no, Kayla, you said the high of 74.
The high of 77 hit at 5:30 this morning.
Okay, so that's cheating. That is like cheating because it's cold. Okay, so what do you say, you guys? Let's do this. Victor's going to help me get the plants into the greenhouse. I'm going to talk about some things I'm tearing out, and then Kayla is going to do a little bit of a walkabout with me as we decide, and she helps us determine just exactly how many pansies will I need for the front yard. So what do you say? Let's do it. Okay, so that is Eugenia #1. It may look like a boxwood, but it is not. It is a tropical and it cannot handle freezing temperatures. So that is Eugenia #1. Victor, you want to get this one? And boy, these came out like a dream. So our strategy that we did in the spring to just put the pots in there was great. Now, I don't know if you heard that, but that sound was actually the roots. It started to go through the ground or through the pot and into the soil. So these will go into the greenhouse. And then what do we have to fill these holes? Now, I talked in the past that I might put tulip bulbs in there, I might put daffodils. I didn't know what I was going to do, but now I do. And that is, let's see. Yeah, okay. We are going to put, I've told you about this before, but we're going to put the azalea, the Encore azalea standards in there. Can we slip through here?
We don't get to watch you work very often, Linda.
Well,
You do work.
I do work a lot. Okay. Okay. Now, does this look as impressive? You know what? Let's do? Let's, because this is how I roll, let's put this one in there. Yeah. One is in better condition than the other. Okay. Stuart, what are you chuckling at?
Watch where your feet.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, that's all.
Okay. Okay, so these will be so much happier here than they were in the back, kind of crammed up against the garage wall. And then later, when we come back and we top dress with a lot of new mulch and stuff, we'll top dress these and try to protect them even more. I am thinking they will overwinter because they're cold hardy, and the roots in this pot will be protected because they're not only in the pot, but they're in the ground, and we'll give them some additional insulation. Okay, let's get this other one. This one's heavier. Okay. Now, this is what you would call drop and plop styling. Now, are these as dramatic as the Eugenia? No, they are not. But they nevertheless will maintain that verticality right here that I really, really like. And look at these beautiful blooms. So you can maybe imagine what these will look like when I feed them late winter before spring bloom, and these are flushed out and in full bloom. So I think they're really gorgeous. Okay, so these are too heavy, I think, for me to lug to your truck. So I'm gonna let you handle that. Okay. Okay, so Victor and Kayla have already moved the now missing olive trees that were right here. And now I've got just some miscellaneous plants that I'm going to want to go to the greenhouse, and these I need to probably point out. So I'm going to point out what for me I'm going to take and what I'm not going to take, that I'm going to let go ahead and die. Okay, so let's take, this is a bay tree, so this one is going to go. And I am going to let these expire. I might take some cuttings from them, but they're annuals and they'll just kind of go away. However, I do want to save all of this stuff. So I'm going to keep that topiary here, but all of this can go. And also, these two begonias can go, but before I do that, I am going to take a little cutting of this for a purpose that I will show you later. Okay, so so both of these are gonna go, and these are small eugenias, you guys, and these are gonna go. These are gonna go, but these boxwood, I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna see if they can go, and I'm just gonna put them in a corner. And Kayla, when I get enough leaves, we're just gonna blow some leaves on them. All of these other things over here, I think will be fine. I'm gonna plant these. What do you think, guys? Should I plant these in those urns up front when I take out all the lantana? They're huge.
Yeah, I like those going in
here. You think so? Okay, so we'll do that with these. All of these can stay, but this elephant bush, both of these need to go. Okay. These actually, the boxwoods, as I've told you before, the boxwoods I keep outside. So. But what I will do, if you would, is just lower them onto the ground. And I've got some little blocks that we can put underneath them to protect the concrete. But let's lower those to the ground. These can stay. This, I keep promising to make Jamie pesto, Kayla, and I still haven't, but I will.
Still haven't
now
made
I have
pesto.
to because it's going to freeze. Okay, this little tree can go, and probably that guy can stay, but let's go ahead and these are house plants, but I think I'm going to have them both taken to the greenhouse for right now because I will be decorating for the holidays. And then what do you do with your extra, plants that you have that you're going to replace with a Christmas tree or some type of seasonal decor? It's a dilemma, Kayla.
A dilemma.
It is a dilemma.
It is only a Linda dilemma.
I know. I'm so spoiled. I know. My life is hard. I'm kidding. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to try to find one of Jamie's tarps to just cover this. You think that's a good idea, Kayla? You think?
Yep.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, so, and I think that's it. And as you start loading those up, I will start looking at some other things. This is going to stay. That is a cypress, and I think that'll stay. That can stay. Yeah. This can be up there. I think it'll be okay, but these can go. Okay, so let's take a break here. Kayla lets you and I go discuss pansies.
Yes.
Okay, before Kayla and I discuss what is next up on our plate, look, I've got all of these buds on this soft caress mahonia. Isn't that sweet? And I think I'm gonna fill this whole area with soft caress. Once we do what? Once we build the surround for the air conditioner. Now,
That's right.
I lied when I said that this was going to be a winter project because I thought we would do this like in January or something. But then because we've got momentum.
And Linda is Linda.
And Linda is Linda, the good and the bad of that. We decided to proceed with the surround for this because I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be nice to already have this good looking, if indeed, if by chance, if God willing, we can have Thanksgiving outside. So we're going to build the surround to this. It is going to be the lattice work that is on top of the fence. And we're also going to, yes, put lattice work on top of the gate.
Yes.
Because I want a little more privacy. So many of you made great suggestions that I try to in some way mimic with a round opening the round window on my front door, but that was going to be expensive, a little bit problematic. So for right now, this is what we're going to do. It is, of course, going to be painted in this same kind of cottage gray. So talk to me about the posts.
So I typically like to use metal posts because you don't really ever have to worry about them rotting
out.
In your case, because we're going to build frames that can be removed, I'm going to use wooden posts. They'll be treated, but I'm going to use wooden posts so that I can take the measurements to the house. I can custom build these at the house. I can paint them at the house and then just load them up, bring them here, and simply screw them to our post for, ease. If we ever have a problem with the AC and the whole unit has to be removed, few screws, AC guys can get it out of their way and set the new unit in.
Right. So that said, we're going to build the surround to cover it this way and this way.
An L-shaped form.
But an L-shaped form. So this will remain accessible on this side because there's not really any reason for it not to be accessible.
That's right.
Nobody sees this.
And if the HVAC guys needed to get to the unit, they need that side and they need the back side. They really don't need anything up here.
So it's practicality meets good looks. Now you said that you think you can install the posts next week.
Later next week. Our overnight temps are fixing to fall into the 20s and our daytimes aren't going to come out of the 30s. So we want to make sure when we set these posts that we're warm enough that concrete can cure so that we don't get premature cracking and also premature rotting of the post.
Okay, so we're going to do that, and then once that is done, assuming weather permits, that's when I'm going to come back in here with this kind of fluffy soft caress mahonia in here and maybe some over there, and I'll plant that once this is done. And then we'll still have, I might even move a couple of these, we'll still have passage, easy access to the back and over here. This is all things that we kind of put down to orient ourselves how things would fit, how things would work, and I think that will be fine. So hopefully, and you will paint it there. Do you need to take that paint that's in the garage?
I will need to take the paint. When we set the post, I'll get the paint and take it.
Okay.
And we're going to video this being constructed and painted. So Stuart is going to be introduced to the barn.
Yes. So where the magic happens.
That's right.
So Stuart, you did not know, but you and Kayla are going to fly solo. And Kayla is going to explain the considerations. She's going to show how she does it, how you guys might do it yourself if you wanted to replicate it. And then once the surround is built, and then once I've got an idea of this here, we might even do a panel or something to kind of hide this, but that's not a priority to me right now. First, I want to get this kind of finished up, get the gate finished up, and then ultimately, I probably want to put a little wooden gate on the front end.
We had talked
too.
about maybe doing that.
So we'll think about that, and that one will probably be styled a little bit more cutely. Cutely, is that a word? Charmingly.
Charmingly.
Cottage charmingly, for a later time. But this is what's going to go on. As we continue to walk around here, work around here, I might say, and Kayla might say, let's plop in another piece of flagstone here. Let's plop in another piece of flagstone there. But right now, I'm good without there being any hardscape surface on it, because if we kind of compact the earth, I don't really care, because not much is going to be growing in these intervals anyway. Okay, so let's take a break here and let's go to the front and let's talk pansies. Okay, let us all take a moment to appreciate how beautiful everything looks before it succumbs to frost, because it really is gorgeous. And it also is inspiring, because I am loving the way this white, pale yellow, and lavender look. So I am going to take that as my muse and as my inspiration for pansies. And those are the colors that Kayla and I have been discussing as I think about my spring show.
Yes.
My spring show. So I am going to go with, and these have different names. So the pale yellow is called what?
Lemon.
Lemon. Okay, not lemon chiffon or just lemon.
All I know I'm by is lemon.
Okay, and it's a pale yellow. It's got some kind of white in it. It's not a strident. It's not a real pronounced strong yellow.
Right.
And so there's a pale yellow. There's a house actually around the corner that has it already planted. And then I'm going to do not the blue colors, not the azure,
right,
not those, but very much lavender.
Lavender.
Because there is a distinction. If you put them side by side, there's definitely a distinction between the blue and the lavender. And so I want to mix those two, but then you were telling me about a new variety called linen. Tell me about that.
So it's between the lemon and the white. So the yellow in it is even more muted.
Okay.
You can see it, but it's just a little more subtle.
It's a little more subtle. So right now, those are the colors that I'm going to be going with. She is going to also maybe bring a flat or two of yellow, but without the purple blotch.
That's right. So it'd be crown yellow.
Crown yellow without the purple blotch. So I can see if I want that more strident yellow to make things pop, or if I like the subtlety of it a little bit better. And these are things that if you guys are thinking yourself, well, you can do this, you know, by yourself if you are at your nursery and you just put them together.
Absolutely.
And play with them to see if it gets what kind of effect you want. And then if you're doing a rather large expanse, then you just magnify that in multiples. Multiply that over time and space to see.
Yeah, and typically you want, if you're after that bright, you know, that catch your eye as it's coming down the street, you want to go heavy on the brighter colors, lighter on the more muted colors.
Right.
You know, we're playing with colors at your place that are going to be similar. So we can almost go third, or half with yours.
And I may decide on that because I'm not going to be there putting them together, but we can kind of play with that, because if I have extra lemon or extra yellow over, I can always use those in window boxes and that kind of thing.
Right.
And yellow, by the way, this is a tip. Yellow and white are ones that towards the end of the season you can typically still find. And we're almost getting to the end of the season. I don't like to plant my pansies earlier because they just don't like the heat.
Right.
And so I always hold off.
And if you think about it, 10 days ago, we were still in the 90s.
Right.
And I didn't even start my rotation of installing pansies until Monday of last week.
Which is late for us.
And it usually carries us, I mean, we usually go till the week before Thanksgiving before I get through. And now we're looking at freezing temperatures. And so those of us that don't like to put them in too early because of the heat, now we're facing getting them in the ground before they're frozen.
And when you put them in, might be motivated by when you want that color. So a lot of people want their pansies for fall, and so they plant them earlier. I don't really care if they do very much right now. I want them as part of my spring show. I don't necessarily want them all ready to be in flower. I just want them to be in good shape, not root bound, so that they can put out root growth over the winter and do their thing in the spring.
Right.
So
and the root growth during the winter, that's important, because you know, when we freeze, those pansies will almost die back. You know, they'll just fall over and they're going to look like they're dead. But as soon as we get some warm days, if we have a good root system down there, they're going to stand back up and they're going to rebloom for us.
Yeah, and especially if encouraged by a little bit of fertilizer, some warm temperatures, but also we'll make sure to mulch them. And if I didn't say it earlier, Kayla I don't have a lot, since my trees aren't big, I don't have a lot of my own leaves. But as she gathers some leaves from her mowing and cleanup, then she's going to save some bags of leaves for me that I can shred and use as mulch in my flower beds, mixing it with some of my Happy Grow mix, because I'm mulching extra heavily this year.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to have a really hard winter. Okay, so what am I going to do? The other reason I'm thinking from a design perspective that I want to go a little more subtle is because I want the tulips to really be the show. And the tulips are going to be in a tight grid, unlike at the other house, Kayla, where I had them in masses here and there. These are going to follow the grid of the terrace, and I want them a little more linear. So they will be right along the edge with some tufts of pansies along the edge, along the walkway, going up to the front door, a smattering of them along the social patio, maybe a smattering right in front of the porch on the west side. And then, because I got a lot of them, as I do, I'm going to plant some of them in the voids on these berms. So it will almost have the effect as if they were grown naturally and kind of spilling down. And then the pansies, I don't even like my pansies to be ultra linear. I like them to kind of be in a rickety-rackety, kind of moving in a more naturalistic way. We'll probably have a few clumps of pansies. We might do some pansies over in there. And then that's where I know I want tulips, and where I'll have extra tulips, those will just go where I have extra spaces. I will probably want to put some tulips in the window box.
I would put some tulips in the window box.
Yeah, I have done that for years at my other place. Stuart, we can put in
maybe down here in the pots.
Yes.
And those two pots right on the steps.
Yes. So in my pots will be pansies, kale, and some tulips. And they're heavy concrete pots.
Yes.
So as long as they don't get, well, I won't be watering them. It'll just be natural rainfall, because when you put them in pots, and we'll be doing a tutorial on that, what they really want is good drainage so they don't rot.
Right.
So that's kind of what we've got going on up here. I anticipate some kind of really dramatic show in this pot where we took out one of the Eugenias. But boy, Kayla, I'm going to be so sad to see all of this lantana go. It's really going to hurt my heart. But
yeah, it did really, really good.
It did beautifully, and I am definitely going to make a note in my garden journal to put more of that, plant even more of it next year, and I just don't know that I could improve the lantana. And I don't know that I could improve on the colors that I used or its ability to attract pollinators, because it was just great, and I love how it looked with all the butterfly candy and the other purples. So that's where we are at this point in time, and I thank you for your service. And talk a little bit about when we do tulip planting.
Well, I like to not do my tulip planting until around Thanksgiving.
Right.
Because of the heat in Oklahoma, our weather is so crazy. I want to make sure that we are truly cold. We're going to stay cold. I've had tulips come up in the spring that got too warm in the fall because we put them in too early, and they were stunted. They, you know, they just didn't produce. And so I really like to hold off until Thanksgiving. I'll even put them in the ground as late as, you know, first of the year, depending on what our temps are. You know, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think more problem
ideal.
for ours is in Oklahoma, at least, from planting too early versus planting too late.
Yeah.
Because I've planted, better to plant them as late as January versus sitting in the garage, and then you can't plant them at all.
Right.
So I haven't even received my order from Color Blends yet.
I ordered for another customer and mine hadn't come in yet.
Yep. So as soon as we get those, and I just assume they come later rather than earlier, so I don't have to store them. If you get yours, make sure to keep them in a cool, dark place until it's time to plant. I don't use any additional bulb boosting food when I plant them, do you?
Only if they're going to go in soil that's maybe not really what we want it to be.
Not really great. And then
I'll amend the soil, and I might give it a little bit of blood meal or bone meal, just, you know, but most of the time, no. I don't put a whole lot of, your yard doesn't need it.
Well,
yeah, you already have good rich soil.
Well, and the other reason I don't like to use too many of those other things is that some places, depending on where you live, it can attract, the blood meal and the bone meal can attract wildlife.
That's right.
As we know. So that's what we are waiting for. And as sad as I am to see all this go, it will be fun to anticipate what will be coming up next spring. And it'll just be, I like not having a full year garden season where I have to work. I like the downtime. In fact, I like winter better than the dead of summer.
Yes.
So that's how we roll. Okay, girl, I appreciate the heck out of it.
Okay.
And
we'll locate pansies next week.
we'll locate pansies next week. We got it.
Okay.